name is Room and welcome to my corner of the internet. In today's video, we'll be discussing my OCs. I've had these characters ever since I was in high school, and I thought it would be a fun idea to talk about them. The very first version of this story was when the main characters are fighting for the government by enrolling in a military school. That idea changed when I started to process my religious trauma. We love a growing queen, a healing queen. For the main cast, the characters I'm talking about today, I projected a lot onto them. They're not inserts, well, self-inserts. I would say that a majority of my trauma was inflicted onto them. Sorry, guys. So the setting takes place at a religious school in the United States. Down south, I would say probably like in Georgia or Alabama, somewhere near there. I also want to say that this series isn't pro-Christian. If anything, it's a commentary on it, while also discussing African American church and religious culture, so be prepared for that. The world building of this story is that there are teams of 3 or 4, 1 instructor and 3 students, or sometimes 2 students, and sometimes there are teams without instructor, but we'll get into that later. Depending on the track you follow, determine whether you'll be taking field missions or dealing with possession and spiritual cleaning. There is also a healing track with regular healing and one for spiritual healing. These people for now are called priests and priestesses. The vibe I was inspired by was shows like Soul Eater, Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha, and Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, please tell me y'all know what vibe I'm going for. I think my current design of these characters reflect that a little bit. Out of all the characters I'm talking about, Blessing, the main heroine, is the one who has gone through a real drastic change. She went from this meek, shy character to someone who's quiet and reserved in the beginning. Her design also reflects some of the things I like to draw currently. I looked through her Pinterest board and was struck by how much she changed. I remember actually drawing these guys a couple years ago, and my god, it was so bad. Like the first drawing I ever made, because they mostly have been ideas in my head, and I'm the type of person to, like, when I think of a character, I'll keep thinking about it until I get ready to draw it. Is anybody else like that? Let me know. Her old design will be used for another OC. Hopefully you guys will see that in a future video, maybe soon, so let's get into the video. Blessing is a 15-year-old girl who has this calming air around her. At the start of the series, she mostly observes her teammates before she becomes comfortable. Once she develops her personality, she becomes playful and a little sarcastic, and sometimes, like, a little innocent because she don't know a lot of things. Blessing is someone who wants to navigate through this rough environment, which she didn't have help until recently. Like, really recently. Blessing comes from a well-known family within the priest community. Her family likes to keep to themselves and rarely interacts with the other families unless it's something important. Blessing's parents hold some weight within the family until the incident. Without spoiling too much, I won't tell you what the incident is. Maybe I will one day, or you'll probably see it when this concept becomes a book. Blessing wasn't always neglected. Her parents absolutely adored her when she first was born. And then when the incident happened, they isolated Blessing. Blessing's childhood was a lonely one. While her cousins were taking lessons and learning about their culture and priesthood and all that other stuff, and their abilities, she couldn't. Often treated like the spawn of Satan, Blessing wasn't even allowed to practice her abilities until she went to the academy. At 15 years old, the family patriarch decides to get rid of Blessing, so they ship her off to the academy, making her the faculty's problem. Compared to Blessing's peers, she's years behind him in terms of learning her abilities, and she doesn't even understand basic spiritual energy theory. At first, Blessing is freaking out. She went from one isolated environment to another, but luckily she has Xina, Serenity, and Andre's help, and many more to come. The idea I want for Blessing's story is that she goes through so many life lessons. She learns how to deal with loss, stand up for herself, and learning that sometimes you have to do incredibly hard things. She's not perfect, but she's learning. I find something like that really relatable. Blessing is someone who goes through a lot, but while she goes through it, she learns and grows. She will also come to terms with the fact that she's not evil like the others say, and she's just a girl in the world, I guess. For Blessing's style, I honestly don't know what to call it. She loves an over-the-shoulder top with low-waisted shorts or pants. I would say compared to the others, her wardrobe is a little dated, or that's the vibe I'm going for. She, until recently, had access to the internet. Most of her media knowledge is old DVDs, VHS tapes, and old magazines. That's why her hair is inspired by Black 90s hairstyles. I also love this new version of her. I wanted her to appear thin because her parents would wait until the last minute to supply her with food. Disclaimer, I was not neglected. I just wanted to make that clear since I did say Blessing has some of my religious trauma. That's all, just my religious trauma. Not like I was not neglected or starved. The weapon also changed. It went from like something like scorpions from Mortal Kombat to these circular discs that are sharp. Blessing's ability is that, like the rest of her family, she can manipulate spiritual energy. She isn't limited like the rest of her family though, and you'll see more of that in the future. And with that, Blessing is done. Andre is 16 years old and the muscle of the group. He's kind, a little dumb, but really sweet and playful. Once he and Serenity get together as a team, they're a chaotic duo. Andre is the next in line to be head of his family. Since middle school, he has been training for this role. Not so fun fact, Andre wasn't the first or second choice. Andre's older sister was the first choice, but then she ran away to join a prestigious group to become its leader. His older brother was another choice, but he too ran away. Andre and Blessing didn't get a choice in this upcoming story about their upbringing and the later events that happened in the story. Please pray for those two because they're going through it. Andre desperately wants to become his own person and have the freedom to choose what he wants to do. He also has a lot of anger towards his older siblings. Some part of him is happy that they got away, but they left him. Now he has to pick up their slack since it's hard for his family to reach his sister, how often she's gone, and his brother, while working at the school he goes to, doesn't even interact with him. Which that will cause some issues between his older brother and his older sister, so be tuned in for that. Andre's story is that he tries to process his emotions, mostly his anger towards his family, his hopelessness towards his situation, and to see if he can make his own path. For his style, I wouldn't say that it changed too much. I wanted to add more color in the drawing. I feel like you really couldn't tell, but all the references I had all the jeans like showing the back. So I couldn't add the designs to him. So instead of the sportswear he used to wear, he now wears jeans with designs on them and like little stitches on them and stuff, and I think that's so cool. And graphic tees. His hair stayed the same, but I had canon. This is canon. That's crazy. That sometimes Serenity and even Xina would cornrow his hair and do other hairstyles, and they'll add beads to it and stuff. I love him so much. If you notice, he doesn't have a weapon. He uses hand-to-hand combat, but he can manipulate gravity. Like, I think I was cooking with these powers, chat. And with that, Andre is done. Serenity is next. Yay! She is the oldest of the group, being 16. Out of all the characters I'm talking about in this video, Serenity comes from a loving family. Love that. Most of her character arc is tied to her abilities and the fact that her family is considered trash by the others. Serenity's ancestor made a deal with a demon, which causes them to lose their original abilities. The main reason why Serenity's family is still able to be a part of this system and community is the fact that they make the latest weapons. There are two families that supply weapons to the academy, another priests and priestesses. One is Serenity's family and the other is Johnny's, another OC I'll talk about in another video. The deal that her ancestor made is that his descendants are tied to one or two demons. There is more to this deal that will be explained later in more lore videos without jeopardizing the plot, I guess. Serenity's personality is someone who is bright, she's really smart and funny, and she cares for others a lot. She wants to become one of the lead inventors of her family, but as the story progresses, she don't know if that's something she wants anymore. Her style went from this preppy look to one with an alternative vibe. I guess that's the best way to describe it. She has more lace and jewelry. It's really interesting to see that the vibe I had for these characters years ago changed. It's so hard to believe that her hair used to be blue because she had a lightning-based ability. The idea I had for a character arc moment was that she overused her ability and she would have ended up with some lightning scars. While there are some setbacks using to one's gifts too much, she won't go through that anymore. There is still a chance that she could end up hurting herself or worse, dying if she overuses it. But that's the case for anyone in this series. Also, the reason why she has that white streak in her hair is because of the deal her ancestor made. So, there's that. This is also not the final design for Serenity's weapon. Her weapon is this heavy blaster that she can use at long range and close range when she wants to knock someone out. I was trying to get this old vintage lamp look, but I have to take a day to practice and design the weapons for the series. I know I keep saying all I have to do and I should make a video out of it, but I really would like to make a video out of that. I feel like that would be so fun. Serenity's abilities is that with the bond she has with those two demons, she could channel their spiritual energy into her weapon. That's not the only ability she has, but I don't want to spoil the story. And with that, I am done with Serenity. Xina is 24 years old and is the group's leader and teacher. Xina's family is the most influential in the community. Xina herself is also well known amongst the community and is very powerful. This trio will be her first and last students she trains outside of her cousin Zara. Xina is silly, goes with the flow, and is protective of the people she cares about. I wanted to make her young because you'll see that Xina is used a lot by the school and her family, seeing as she, along with a few others, has the rank to deal with dangerous entities. Xina doesn't get along with the older generation of her family. To her, they are a bunch of washed up has-beens that used the hell out of the younger generation. The one person she can't stand though is her grandmother Zyla. Zyla is someone who is harsh, rude, and can be cruel sometimes. Xena doesn't like that lady, like at all. She called her all sorts of bees when she's not looking. Zyla was in charge of Xena's training when she was younger, and it was the worst years of Xena's life. Once Xena was able to go to the academy, she left home and didn't come back unless it was necessary. Due to her upbringing, Xena tends to avoid doing extra work. She doesn't want to be the one person people rely on. Her family already thinks that she can do any and everything for them. Xena wasn't even going to accept being the leader of the team until an old friend requested a favor from her. She then accepts. Blessing and Andre look to Xena like she's their parental figure. When no other adult cared for them, she stepped up and did what no one else would do. She even got Blessing a cell phone because her family sent her away without one. She's the mother that stepped up. It's honestly really sad because at the age of 24, Xena is raising children that isn't her own. She's supposed to be at the club young and turned shaking ass on a yacht. For her style, I was inspired by 90s and early 2000s Little Kim. I can see Xena wearing this. She looks fantastic. While the older generation looks down on Xena for her clothing choices, she doesn't care. If it's another reason for her grandma to get mad about, on top of looking good, she'll continue to dress that way. On official documents, Xena's ability is that she can manipulate matter. She can use a lot of weapons, but she chooses to use hand-to-hand combat. She, compared to Andre and other martial artists in the series, she has a very fluid, kind of flowy, ballerina-esque fighting style, and I think that's so interesting to see compared to the others. And hopefully y'all guys see more of that. And with that, I am done with Xena. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I have a lot of OCs from this universe, which makes sense if I'm trying to make it into a story. I would love to share with you guys. I do plan on making this into a comic one day. I don't know what platform I will use, but I'll find out when I get there. So that is why I am a little vague on the details. I don't want to spoil too much of the story. The next video I have in mind might take a little longer to release, so bear with me, please. Real talk, I did mess up with Andre's anatomy. I honestly have to do a body study with him. Drawings for this video took me a week, which is weird. I usually draw faster than that. I was also going to add another character to this video, but her drawings appeared so bad. I was like, I cannot do her dirty like that. Like, she's too pretty for that. Anyways, do you guys have any OCs? Tell me about them below. I would like to hear about them. What is the world they are set in? What are your characters like? What do they look like? Do you draw, or are you just a writer like I was at one point? Like, tell me about your characters. I really want to know. Yap about them. Anyways, I hope you guys are thriving, drinking water, eating enough food, and getting enough rest. Like, we all desperately need that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And that'll be all. Bye!